Okay, we're back for day 2 of our mobility series, and today we're going to talk about thoracic spine. So thanks, Scott, for requesting that. It's definitely a neglected area of mobility, and I think with just a few drills, you could improve it quite a bit in a short period of time. I've seen some pretty interesting stuff in the office just from, in a single visit, warming up and mobilizing the thoracic spine in the same visit and seeing changes that occur almost immediately. Let me tell you why the thoracic spine is important for mobility. So there's this thing that Mike Boyle came up with. It's called the joint by joint approach. Okay, and so he went over the whole body and looked at how the body is structured, and he started to notice this pattern of stability and mobility joints up through the body. Okay, so you've got your ankles, for instance, which would be a mobility joint. The next joint up is going to be the knee, which is a stability joint. Next joint up from there is your hip, mobility joint. Low back, stability. Thoracic spine, therefore, should be a mobility joint. But a lot of people have really stiff T-spines, and what that does is that causes performance leaks up and down the chain that occur to compensate. So if you're supposed to have X amount of range of motion from your thoracic spine and you still have to get from point A to point B, your body's going to take out that range of motion elsewhere. Okay? To complicate things, you have areas called transition areas above and below your thoracic spine, and that's where the spine actually, the vertebra change shape. So in those particular spots, they can be even more prone to being unstable because of the change in the shape there. So we need to make sure that that T-spine moves well. Just think about the number of things that attach to the T-spine, okay? So you've got your low back, you've got your neck above it, you've got your shoulder via your shoulder blades, and so you can see the thoracic area is a forced transition area in your body, and it's really, really important that anytime you're working out, I can't think of a single workout where you shouldn't be warming up your T-spine in some capacity. Okay, because it's either going to be forced transmission, like with a throw, it could be required for stabilization, like pressing overhead. So you need to make sure that you're doing everything you can to warm up your thoracic spine. So we're really going to ease into our mobility series a little more today. We're not going to do anything too intense. Today's mobility work is going to be mostly range of motion work, since that is a chronically immobile area. But in future mobility videos, we will address sort of the shoulder complex and also some core stuff that will tie in with that thoracic spine. And so we may revisit some of those things and point out why they're important. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with today's mobility routine. All right, guys, so we are here with day 2. We're going to start with some A to P, or front to back mobility. So first I'm going to demo really popular back exercise, cat-cow. And the problem with cat-cow is that virtually all the motion tends to occur in the lumbar spine and the cervical spine, so the back and the neck. So what we're going to do is we're going to get down into more of the sphinx position here, okay? And I'm going to drive my T-spine towards the ceiling and then press my chest towards the floor as I look up. So it won't look like you're making a lot of progress during this exercise, but you should feel the majority of the pressure occurring between your neck and your low back, right in the middle of your mid back, okay? So the next exercise is going to be for thoracic rotation, which a lot of people get the front to back stuff done, but do very little rotation type stuff. So you can use a yoga block, a soccer ball, you could use a water bottle. You could probably use an ab mat. I'm going to have pressure with my knee on that yoga block the whole time to make sure I'm not opening up too much with my pelvis. Again, this is like the last exercise is kind of a lumbar lock you can do to make sure that you're not pushing all the motion through there and you're at least getting some of that T-spine. And you can see here on my last rep that I do, I purposely open my hips up and the yoga block will fall away. So don't do that. Alright, now I want to show you guys an alternative to the other exercise if you're having issues with it, okay? So we go back into that lumbar lock position that we did for the Sphinx exercise, and we're putting that rotation into the spine that way. Now, this is not my preferred method. I prefer the previous one with the yoga block or a soccer ball or something. But some people have pain with that one because of various reasons, or maybe they just can't get into that position reliably, or maybe they can't hold it. Maybe they keep opening up with their hips. So this is another really great way to open up that thoracic rotation without pushing too much of it into your low back. And so we're going to go right into our T-spine stabilization exercise. This is kind of a plank for your mid-back and your shoulders. And I call it hot potato. So I want you to visualize that there is a hot potato underneath your breastbone and you're trying to lift yourself away. And we're going to do a 10-second plank. Okay, so we're going to lift up. Try to keep the head and neck in neutral. You can look up if you need to or if this is uncomfortable. But let's just try to keep that spine in neutral for now. So after about 10 seconds, you can relax. Take a couple second break, maybe like 3 to 5 seconds. And then start your next rep. Okay? We're never holding more than 10 seconds on this one. If that's too easy, we can do an advanced hot potato, which instead of pressing up just off the elbows like this, you're going to press up on your elbows and your knees. And so I demo a few less than desirable looking ones here. So hot potato. It's okay if your feet come up like that. So a lot of this has to do with scapular stabilization on your mid-back. There's not really a good way to plank with your mid-back. Most of that force goes through your low back. So this is a great alternative to that. And these can be deceptively difficult to do, especially if we're doing the rep scheme that I have listed here. Okay? So now, this is an optional exercise. Okay? So this is what's called an arm bar. And I just realized my dog was in the video as I set this up. So we're going to start in that Turkish get-up position, but instead of pressing up, you're going to roll over and punch a kettlebell or maybe a water bottle you're balancing on your hand, a yoga block you're balancing on your hand. You could even do it with the dumbbell, but we're trying to really roll over and trigger that rotational stabilization in the shoulder and the thoracic spine. So you can approach this a couple different ways. What I'm going to recommend that everyone start off with is probably a 10-second hold, and then we'll do multiple reps of that. I would probably do all the reps on one side so you don't have to flip over to the other one, but I wanted to give you guys a view from the other way. So again, Turkish get-up position, but what we're going to do instead is move that arm up out of the way, press up, and then stabilize on that shoulder. Kettlebell is the best option here because it's going to drag that weight away, but I would say the water ball is the next because it's going to require you to stabilize there. So just use whatever equipment you have. If you have other questions about that or want another recommendation, I'll do my best. So now let's move into our plyometrics. This is just really easy. It's just kind of a half burpee, but really focusing on exploding off the ground, okay? So you can take your time getting reset back at the beginning. We're going to pop up. Try to force some extension through that thoracic spine. And then we can also do some rotational type exercises. I'm using one of my dog's balls that he uses. You can use a soccer ball. You can use a wall ball. Now you can throw it a little harder into the wall if you want to get a little further away. I just didn't want to be denting my wall. But you'll get the advantage out of this either way. Alright guys, so that was our T-spine series today. If you guys had any questions, please comment below. If you have any more recommendations of what you'd like to see us work on, please send me a message or comment below. If you're dealing with some pain and you feel like you need a more thorough evaluation, the office still is open. We are seeing patients in a limited control capacity, and I am also branching out and offering some online not necessarily treatment, but mobility coaching. If you're having lots of problems or you're dealing with some pain that's really holding you back. I've already seen some really great results via some of my other patients that have moved to totally online in this particular situation. So again, if you have any questions, send me an email, shoot me a message, and I'll be happy to help you out as best I can. All right, I'll see you tomorrow.